Hello, everyone. Welcome to another webinar. Excited to have you guys. 1 second here while I'm switching around. All right, we got Kareen to start off. All right, everyone. Kareen, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Yes. Can you hear me?
Awesome. Hold on. I can't hear you.
I don't think I'm muted.
Second. Can you hear me now?
I can hear you. Can you hear me
I
now?
can hear you now. That's the more important thing. That's the more important thing. Oh, the little details of running webinars and everything. Hold on 1 second, guys, while I get one more thing set. Yeah. All right. We're ready to go. All right. Kareen, if you could just hang tight for 1 second so I can set up an intro and then we'll get right to you because I know you just have a few minutes with us. So welcome, everyone. If you are here, it is because you are curious, how do I become Surge Strength Dryland certified? We only have that a few times a year, and we're going to have Q&A and all of that at the end. But before we do get started, I just wanted to see who is here in terms of swimmers, parents, and coaches. So I'm going to launch a quick poll. I know we don't have a ton of people signed up for this webinar because we're not as broad, pretty specific in this one. I figure is going to be pretty heavily coaches, and that's what we're seeing here in the poll. Awesome, guys. Well, thanks for joining. And then at the end, we'll definitely have a Q&A. We're going to talk all things about becoming SSDC. So while I'm going through the presentation or we have a speaker, feel free to just drop questions in the chat and then we'll get to those at the end. But especially when I'm in presentation mode, I can't see those as well. So let me introduce myself and then I'll introduce Kareen here. So I'm Chris Ritter, was a longtime swimmer, swim coach, strength coach, CEO of Ritter Sports Performance. We started Surge Strength and specifically the Surge Strength Dryland certification just over 2.5 years ago or so now. And Kareen was one of the first people to join us in that open enrollment that we did at the time. Well, she still is a strength coach for a swim club up in Alaska. And Kareen, I'll let you jump in now and kind of tell your background story, however brief or long you want, and then just fill us in on how becoming SSDC helped you specifically.
All right. Thanks, Chris. Yeah. So my name's Kareen and I'm up in Juneau, Alaska. And I've been the head dryland coach for our Glacier Swim Club up here for 6+ years now. Fun fact about me is that I do not have a background in swimming. And so that's why this whole program for me has been a little bit extra special. My background, I'm a manual massage therapist, and I've been doing that for over 20 years. So in-depth knowledge of the body, of injuries, of repetitive strain. I've worked a lot with athletes of all kinds. So I had a really great background in that. And then the head swim coach from our club here we were at the same gym a number of years back and got to know each other really well. And so because of my background in strength and conditioning, although not in swimming, which he knew at the time, he brought me on as the Dryland coach because they were just short-staffed and wanted to make sure their swim coaches were swim coaches. And he knew my background. And so threw me kind of in the deep end, per se, as it were. And I took swim lessons as a kid. I know how to swim and not drown, but as far as races and the different strokes other than freestyle, I really had no idea. And so it was a really steep learning curve at the time. I was able to incorporate a lot of my strength and conditioning background into that, but as far as being swim specific was definitely for me the biggest challenge. And it's what I've loved the most is just sort of seeing how my programming has morphed over the years. And so, fast forward to, what was that, Chris, 2021? Was it the beginning of last year? Or was it 2020?
2020.
Yeah,
I know, Kareen.
So it was right in the heart of the pandemic when everything was just kind of closing down. And it was actually my head coach, Scott, that had heard about Ritter Sports at the time, and that there was this program coming out to be Surge Strength certified. And I'm a keener I'll take whatever courses. I love learning new things, taking new courses. And of course, if it was dryland related, I needed all the help I could get. And so I dove into it. What I loved about being the way this program works is that you can work through it at your own speed. And, I was working full-time as a massage therapist, and I was also coaching at a local gym, working with a volleyball team and working with our swim club. And so I had a lot on the go. It took me a while to get through the program, even with the knowledge that I did already have, that, there is some repetitive stuff in my background that I understood. It is still, there is a lot of volume, but you could work through it at your own pace, which I loved. It wasn't like you had to start and you had like 30 days to finish the program. So that was great. Chris was also very patient with me through all of that, because it did take me a while to get through it.
And we're patient with everyone, Corinne. You didn't get any special treatment there.
It's true story. I believe that. It was also handy that it did happen during the pandemic, because I think a lot of us maybe had a little extra time here and there on our hands. So, then once I got the grips on what the surge strength, protocol and vision and all that was for Dryland. And I love this because I actually hear this more from my head coach than me really realizing it, is how my programming morphed. And the way that really worked, one of the biggest things that jumped out at me was how much I was maybe over conditioning the swimmers in Dryland, versus just sort of maybe leaving that more to their swim practices. But it laid out so well periodization and strength versus power versus combining strength power, and how that all kind of works together, and working through your season and setting out season plans. It just made it so much more like I could take then what I knew from strength and conditioning and apply it to a season of training, which I think is so important for swim program, any really athletic program period, but being tailored to swim, of course, being able to then, tell the kids, like, this is what we're doing now. And this is why I felt much more prepared in that sense to be able to do that. And so then what I noticed big time was a very dramatic decrease in injury, especially shoulder injury in our swimmers, which was really cool. And overall buy-in to the Dryland program. That was a really, really big thing that I noticed, even my young age groupers all the way up to my high schoolers. And this last year, having a couple of kids come back who swam in college and coming back and being like, I wish my college had this Dryland program. Like it was really reinforcing to hear kids that have gone on past the high school program and really realizing the great foundation that the surge strength training that I knew and able to translate to them, that they were then able to go into their college programs and feel like ahead of any of the kids there. So that was really cool for me to get that feedback this last year.
That's such a big thing, Corinne. I've talked about to a couple people recently that are thinking about onboarding with surge strength, and they're, sophomores, juniors, and high schools, and they're hearing from some college coaches, well, we're not really interested in you if you train. And I just don't think that's the best approach for swimmers. So I'm glad that you said that. I want to fast forward because I think we saw another guest that's going to pop in here that is also SSDC. But now fast forward 2 years, you being SSDC opened up more doors, and now you're a part of the surge strength team, actually training teams and individuals. And that's one of the requirements for being on our team, is you have to be SSDC. So who knows, those of you tuning in, maybe you're thinking of enrolling, it may end up being a future job opportunity. Corinne, why don't you just touch about joining the team and your experience so far?
Yeah, it's been really fascinating. Again, I would never have had this opportunity had I not known Chris. And I've always sort of, I feel like I'm in a little kind of tiny bubble up here in Juneau, and having this opportunity to join Surge Strength and be a coach with them, and just reaching out to individuals all across the country, all across the world, to be honest. And, so I work with individuals, kids, adults. I work with swim clubs like I already work with right now. And just being able to know that all of us on the Surge Strength team, we've all gone through this training. So our vision and our programming and our protocol and how we progress our athletes, we're all on the same page. And I think that's like unity and consistency, I think for coaches is such an important thing. So anybody, considering to do this course or wanting to do this course, I think that's the biggest thing, is Chris has created this phenomenal platform that really nothing gets missed. You get all the gaps filled in, and then we can all be on the same page as far as what we want to be seeing from our athletes, how we want to progress them through their training. And so it's been such a cool opportunity for me.
Awesome, Kareen. And I appreciate you coming on. I know you got a tight schedule, so thank you so much for jumping on at the start of the interview. Thanks again.
Thanks,
Anyone, if
Chris.
you have questions, feel free to drop them in the chat. We'll get through them. And Kareen, thanks again. I think we have another one coming on now that Callie, she's in between clients as a therapist as well. So we're working with all kinds of schedules today. Let's see if she can come on. Callie, if you're on, if you can hear me, feel free to, I'll ask you to see if she's available. I know she was in and out of clients today. See if she could pop on. And then
Chris, I'm just going to sign off, and thanks
yeah,
so
feel
much
free,
for having me
Kareen.
on
Thank you
here.
so much for your time. I appreciate it. We'll
Have a
talk to you
great
later.
day.
All right. So Callie's busy. So no worries, Callie. We're going to go ahead and start with the presentation. And then Callie, if you're listening, feel free to just pop on in at any time when you're ready, and I'll just stop the presentation. So I know it's a lot of schedules we're juggling today, guys. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the presentation now and share my screen. All right. And honestly, guys, this really started with my personal Dryland journey all the way back in high school. If I trace the passion that I have for this and why I really wanted to put a soup to nuts system together, like Kareen was talking about, where we lay out what you need to do to help your swimmers get better, how to translate Dryland into swimming performance, to avoid injuries as best we can, to think about injury prevention, how are swimmers moving, what are the types of demands that they have on them as a swimmer as well. And I learned that the hard way, and that's really fueled it. And so then I went on, I got educated, I got all the certifications you could, all the alphabet soup, and really tried to pool that together with the experience that I had as a swim coach and strength coach. And this was always at the top of my mind of making sure that we don't have injury. So I've worked with kids that, you know, they learned what a jammer was for the first time, right? At summer league. I still remember helping swimmers like that, all the way up to working with Olympians that I had the chance with. And it comes back to making sure we're not doing harm first in Dryland. And like Kareen said, you know, even going through the course, how she realized I'm working more on conditioning as opposed to really getting them stronger. And getting tired isn't a goal of Dryland. It really shouldn't be. And here you really shouldn't be just crossing your fingers, scrolling through Instagram and YouTube thinking, oh, this is a great video. You know, let's throw this exercise in. This is not the best way to go about it. And I would say the anti-approach to just crossing your fingers, hoping, scrolling through social media to find exercise would be becoming Surge Strength Dryland certified. And this is really what we circle around with our goals, whether you've been on previous webinars or not, getting swimmers more athletic and stronger and not chasing fatigue when it comes to Dryland. So I've been doing this for a long time now, and this is really the culmination, I would say, of the knowledge and experience and results that we've really seen over the years. And I go back to like when I worked with someone like Cullen Jones leading into the Beijing Olympics. And he was a great swimmer coming in. He had won world championships up to that point, but we were able to take his swimming to another level, specifically what we did in the gym in terms of getting him stronger, even working around exercises that weren't really gelling with his body or how he was moving. So there's not a one size fits all either. And I show you those tools and, more importantly, the thought process of how to go through it. Another elite swimmer, two-time Olympian Mark Gangloff that I worked with as well, now doing a great job heading up the program up the road at UNC. He really challenged me to explain why we're doing every single thing. So stuff like that I have to thank Mark for, because that's baked into the curriculum for SSDC. And I explained to you the why, as well as showing you the how when we're going through Dryland. So this is all about Surge Strength Dryland certification. It's all put into it here. So I'm going to start talking about what exactly it entails in terms of what you get. So the curriculum, it's 200 plus lessons. All the lessons average about, I don't know, 8 to 10 minutes, maybe 12 minutes a lesson. And so the chunk size, you can take an hour out of your day and just knock out a few videos. Or if you have, you know, a long weekend, a few days, you can go through it that way. So it really is self-paced. Like Kareen said, you can go through it as quick as you want. Or if you have a lot of other stuff going on in life, just pick at it in little bits. And I've set up the videos and lessons so that you can really pop in and out. So the first module is just about the overview of Dryland. We talk about the history of Dryland, even what is Dryland and what should we be focusing on with it. And you may even be surprised at some of the terms that we go through in module 1. Then module 2, this is the biggest module in terms of the most lessons. We break down all of the different movement exercises and categories. And so there are 5 big buckets that we put in, and I go through all the exercises and videos in each of them, my favorites, and even how we break them up into levels if we're working with a beginner, intermediate, or advanced athlete. And so you can start to see how the program can take shape by talking about, let's say, like a hinge movement. We'd have basic level 1 exercises if you're just learning how to hinge, or level 2 if we can work the hinge a little bit, or level 3 if they're really advanced in the hinge, what we can do and how to work through those and progress those. Now, module 3, we go back to the basics of strength and conditioning. Kareen talked about this as well in terms of understanding what has worked for now 100 years of strength training, and then how do we apply some of those specifically to swimming, and then others too we may not necessarily need because they don't apply to swimmers in particular. And so this module is all about learning strength and conditioning, even if you don't have a background. Module 4, we talk all about periodization. I know this is something you love as coaches, right? Especially if we're talking about in-water periodization. Well, I'm going to show you how to periodize for dryland, how you can quickly relate it back to your season plan as well in the water, and how to make it simple so you're not just going down the periodization rabbit hole and never having an actual program written down. That's the most important thing. It's not about how scientific or advanced we could get with periodization theories. It's more about what can we practically do. And I'm trying to show you how to be effective with your time and efficient with it so you can knock these out quick. You got a lot of other things on your plate as a coach. Dryland should not take up the majority of that time. So that's the first half of the modules. Now, the next half is really more where the rubber meets the road. We're getting applicable here with all of these modules. So we start off with the assessment and testing process. And this is the exact same process that we onboard individuals that we work with in our Surge Strength online Dryland program. So we're teaching you exactly what Kareen learned when she was becoming SSDC, and now what she's doing with individuals that come to us that we start to work with. So you learn all the assessments, the testing, how we grade it, and then how does that then apply to the program that we're putting together from. Module 6, we literally walk you through how to create a Dryland program from start to finish, not just for one type of athlete, but for multiple. I'm talking master swimmers. I'm talking about elite swimmers at the college or Olympic level, high school swimmers, and even your young age group swimmers. So I walk you through how to build a season plan, taking all the lessons and knowledge you've learned up to this point and actually putting it together. And then in module 7, we get really specific about training. So we talk about, should dryland be before or after swim practice? What do you do if you can't move it and it's one or the other? What do you do for specific events, strokes, even ages of athletes? Basically anything you could think about. How do we get more specific? I've thrown it into this. Besides the movement and exercise module, this is probably the second longest in terms of lessons that we have in there. And then the last module is all about equipment. I tell you what is the most necessary level of equipment. And also, if you have a real tight budget, what to only spend your money on so you can stretch those resources. And if you have a little bit of a higher budget, I show you what is prudent to then buy in terms of leveling up your Dryland program as well. So no matter what type of budget you're working with, I'm going to help you make sure you get the most out of those resources. So those are the big modules. And really the through line through it all is keeping it as simple as possible, but we want to be effective. And I really kept thinking about that over and over as I was creating the curriculum here. And now actually what I would like to do is I'm going to share a little bit. I'm actually going to go in so you guys can see. Give me 1 second while I switch over screens. So now, this is actually inside the academy. So I've gone ahead and give myself access to the certification. This is what it's going to look like when you log in for the very first time. You're going to see what you've purchased here, the Dryland certification, and we're going to go right through it. So you'll see what this looks like. So you can see over here on the side, we have the modules split up. So Dryland module 1, introduction, just kind of gives you a little bit of navigational tips. We also have even an action plan that you can print out to kind of help you make sure you're keeping progress. So we actually have a PDF you can print out here and make sure you're keeping up with your commitment to actually become certified, because I'm really not interested in just selling access to this. I want at the end of the day for all of you to become SSDC, but it takes you to commit time and make sure you have blocks, whether that's just a few hours spread throughout the week, or if you're blocking out a few days to just knock this out. And so you'll see each of the lessons here. Let's just click on a couple lessons here, the Dryland overview. And so you can play it, and then I give you controls too. If you want to speed through it a little bit more, not a problem at all. You have these options here. And then every lesson has a PDF that you can download. If there are other extra things I talk about in lessons, sometimes there are more downloads as well. And then you just click mark complete. That's the important thing too. When you're working through it, make sure to complete those lessons, because all of them need to be completed by the time you become certified. So I'm just going to scroll through some more of the lessons here. So you can see, here's all of them. We really break down the movements from the brace category: squat, hinge, push, pull. You see all the levels and all of them I'm working through. Also, at the end of each module, I gave you not only the chance to rate the module, because we really do take the feedback. And that's part of the reason we only open enrollment a couple times a year, is because I take the feedback and then decide, okay, do we need to change some things around to make it better each time that we open it up? And so you have a chance to kind of rate the module, tell us what you thought, what you got out of it, so we can continue to make sure we have that high level content Dryland out there for you. We even do knowledge checks for every module. So even though that it's a quiz, in terms of affecting your grade at the end or being able to pass, it's not indicative on that. It's more giving you an idea of how much are you picking up the knowledge and the wisdom that I'm trying to give you when it comes to Dryland. So we'll just X out of that here. But so it's just a simple 10 questions here, go through it. And that way you can understand, let's say you just missed a bunch of questions on this module 1 knowledge check. Then you know, okay, I probably need to go back and watch some of these. But if you got 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, you're good to go. Keep moving through. And then I've also made it so that at the end of each module, you can search for any type of term that you have. So let's just say for module 1, let's just say really simple, right? Dryland. So in every lesson that I said the word Dryland, you can directly click to that very second in the video by going through this. So it kind of gives you a quick study aid to go through and just making it more effective for everyone to be able to go through and review as well. And then the last part of each module is we have these PDFs and resources. So anything extra that I have, module 1 is a little bit lighter on these, but especially the later modules, like we're talking about movements and exercises, periodization, training specificity, creating a Dryland program, those have a lot more PDFs and resources at the end. And then just want to show you a little bit more. So as we get towards the halfway mark, so there is a little halfway midterm, again, not directing in terms of are you going to pass fail at the end to get certified, but more a check of, did you really understand what I talked about in those first 4 modules? So I'm really giving you constant feedback to help you understand, are you really picking up what I'm putting down when it comes to Dryland? And then at the end here, you're able to do one more midterm on the second part of the modules. So modules 5, 6, 7, and 8 to double check. And then at the very end, there's the final exam. And then you're able to print out your certificate as a PDF right there in your dashboard. So that's actually the inside of what it looks like here in terms of the Academy once you purchase access and you get on through. So I'll go ahead and stop sharing on this screen, switch back over to my presentation here. And then we'll dig in a little bit more. So I wanted to highlight some of the extras too. Besides, so this is all, what I'm about to show you is in addition to all of the lessons. So those are all the lessons and all the different modules that they go with. But now I want to show you the extra stuff that you get as well when you enroll to become Surge Strength Dryland certified. So you get access to our exercise video library. We have thousands of videos with coaching cues, making sure you're understanding how to actually teach these exercises organized by movement, category, and ability. Here's something that a lot of coaches really enjoyed is these planning templates. So I talked about, going down the periodization rabbit hole. I want to make it as quick and as effective for you to plan out your dryland. So I give you ready-made PDF templates that you can go ahead and print out. There's also some in Excel too that you can work around with on your computer as well, so that you can make sure you're planning out your yearly, season, weekly, and daily dryland workouts. Jim, who is in one of the first groups as well with Kareen, talked about how valuable just this part of these tools was outside of the lessons and everything you learned, just having those PDFs to be able to just knock it through, go through a checklist and make sure you're doing it. And speaking of checklists, I actually have specific checklists that you can do. So you can see here, season plan, we have a couple checklists. You got to make sure, have I done this? Have I done that? To help you work through building out an entire dryland program. Sarah talked about how the checklists in particular really helped her with the daily dryland workout. So her ratios are really off. And you don't know what I'm talking about? You're going to learn that when you become SSDC, and what ratios to be aware of and how to alter your program for the benefit of your swimmers. We already talked about periodization. So I lay out all the different phases in periodization. I define it. I give you examples, requirements. Again, another just simple PDF you can print out, refer back to as well. And who is also now on staff at Surge Strength as a Dryland certified coach for us. So guys, you never know if you're looking for extra income, another job to stay in swimming, that you can be anywhere in the world. Anne's down in Texas, Kareen's out in Alaska. We got Dryland certified coaches all over that are with us. This is a great opportunity. Maybe down the road, it might work out for you. But Anne at the time, she was just becoming SSDC just for her club. And she talked about how these templates just really helped her with Dryland, whether they were in lockdown at the time when she enrolled or now that they're out, really helping them build a Dryland program from the 8 and unders all the way through the senior kids as they go on to college. I talked about one module 5 was all about movement assessments and performance tests. Guys, we give you the actual sheet that our coaches in-house use when we're assessing new athletes that we're working with. So you're getting all of basically the inside information of how we've gotten results and success over the years. You're getting that when you sign up and enroll to become SSDC. Guy, who's a swim coach out in Israel, talked about how these templates, in particular, the movement assessment and performance tests, helped him tailor the training program for 30 kids in his group that were really diverse. So they had, some really high level athletes and some really beginners. And he was struggling with, how do I create a Dryland program that helps all of them? And so these templates can really be a help for that. Also, performance standards. So we had performance standards laid out not only for just in general swimmers, but also for 12 and under. So I've kind of broken it up to, by the time your swimmers are around age 12, this is what they should be going for. And then beyond, we have another set of standards. So that way too, you can have a 30,000 foot view and making sure you're heading in the right direction with your Dryland. I also give you a bunch of warm-up prehab routines to avoid injuries, get swimmers warmed up, especially if you go to a meet. Water time may be tight, may be really restricted on that. You could do warm-ups on deck or outside. I give you all types of routines for that. And I know this is hopefully not as big a deal for you guys now, but at the time when we were creating the certification, it was a huge deal with lockdowns, people getting locked out of pools. If you don't have water time, what do you do? So I even talk about that and how to approach those sessions when Dryland is not only just in its own Dryland, but also trying to substitute when you don't have water training, and how to adjust Dryland based off that. I already mentioned the equipment recommendations. There's another PDF you can print out that lays out all the different levels in terms of budgets that you have, the amount that you have, and then what equipment to really make sure you get the most out of it. Now, this is one of the most exciting things too, and it literally has taken 15 plus years to create this part that you get. So it's spread out through a couple of the modules, but I walk you through case studies. I think a lot of them are in module 7, but some may be spread out throughout the course. I give you case studies, multiple ones, from younger swimmers, older swimmers, more, senior age group swimmers, high school, college, and beyond. I walk you through a complete season plan of what I have done with other athletes, with other teams. I talk you through how I approached each season, how I maybe changed from one to the other, and then also different abilities and age groups as well. So you're really getting the most inside view that I can give you. And this is all included when you enroll to become SSDC. Here's that action plan sheet that I was referencing earlier. You can see part of the PDF here that you print out. You're able to kind of check off as you're going through the different modules, even follow along with your scores for the knowledge check so that you can kind of see, okay, is one area, do I need to review it a little bit more? And so we really are trying to give you as many tools as possible to be successful when it comes to Dryland. And we've kind of skirted around some of these ideas. Corrine even talked about, she went from conditioning focus in Dryland to now seeing the strength, power, mobility aspect. This is really 3 big points that Surge Strength we circle around in our focus in Dryland, is having 2 goals: strong, athletic. That's what we want our swimmers to become more and more. Hard does not necessarily equal effective. This gets into the conditioning mindset of just trying to chase fatigue. That's not the way to approach Dryland. And finally, keeping it simple. I'm not trying to make it a lot more complicated for you guys. If anything, I'm trying to make it as simple as possible, especially with all the templates and other tools that I give you. So I've already heard from Corrine. I want to show you just a sampling. This is a sampling. I have not updated this in at least a year, of all of the clubs around the world that have signed up and have coaches that are becoming SSDC or already have begun so. So at this point, probably we're going to need to have a bunch more slides to update with everybody else that's enrolled since we did. But the question I want to leave you with is, you don't have to have your whole staff sign up. I mean, if you do, that's great. But even if just one coach on staff did that, Eric, who's up in Ohio, we've worked with his club for a long time. And even though we had delivered him Dryland programs for years at this point, he still jumped on not only him, but all of his coaches becoming SSDC, because then they're able to talk about it and really connect all the pieces from the Dryland part to the in the water part and across the different levels of their program. They now have a smooth track of progression. We also have, as Corrine talked about earlier, her background not being a swim coach, a lot of strength coaches, personal trainers, performance coaches become SSDC because maybe they need to learn more about the swimming side, which is what Corrine talked about earlier. She knew pretty well the strength and conditioning side, even though she still picked up more ideas from becoming SSDC, but it was really how to connect strength and conditioning to swimming. And so we have, actually, Josh is up in Alaska as well. He's an athletic trainer. And so he went to school for this stuff, but yet even in module 1, he was still learning stuff already that he could apply to the swimmers that he was working with. And here's another coach here that she gave us a shout out. She already had some of the highest credentials you can in strength and conditioning, but yet she was still blown away at what she learned. She even has her master's in strength and conditioning, and still she learned so much becoming SSDC. But yet, don't be intimidated, guys. If you don't have your master's in strength and conditioning, it's okay. You're still going to be able to follow along, especially with it being self-paced. You can review some lessons again. But guys, there's just so much out there in terms of, here's just a couple social media posts that we have up of people that have enjoyed their experience becoming SSDC, talking about the swimming community just needs a resource like this when it comes to Dryland. Highly recommended. People going through it all the time now. And at this point, we've had a couple of open enrollments and really locking in to make sure that it's the best experience for all of you that do it. And guys, it's backed up by results. We've been getting results here at Surge Strength for well over a decade. Myself being able to work with Olympians, seeing how it applies at the most elite level, yet tailoring it down to beginners and understanding how Dryland should progress through those stages. And it comes in the programs that we do. Someone like Maddie here, who got her first futures cut, and she's so excited about that kind of success. We were able to help her with that program. Imagine if you as a coach learned that knowledge and the same process we did for Maddie that you can put into your team and not just affect one swimmer, but dozens and dozens of swimmers. And if you work with master swimmers, I know we get a couple questions of, well, Chris, does this work for me? I'm working with adults here. Yes, it absolutely can. So here's a master's athlete that we worked with. You could see just over 2 years, he went from not even being able to do pull-ups. He was just hanging over the bar, doing slow drop downs, to in over 2 years, he's doing 3 pull-ups to his chest, the bar to his chest with 55 pounds around his waist. Ended up back squatting almost 300 pounds. More importantly, he felt amazing. Even in his 50s, breaking national records, world records. He was up there behind some ex-Olympians at FINA Masters Worlds and just had amazing results. going back to Landry here. She's been on the podcast recently. You can check that out, the Surge Strength podcast, or our YouTube channel as well. This interview is posted, but she's been with us for a few years now, she's a freshman in college now, Division I program. And we worked with her to make sure she was ready for that college swimming experience. And that actually helped her in the recruiting process, that she was getting so much stronger and better in the pool as well, that the results were transferring into the water. So again, this is the kind of stuff you coaches can learn how to do, because we've already been doing it for years. Now SSDC is just, it's packaged. So now you can go through it self-paced and learn all the secrets that we've been doing when it comes to Dryland. And just one more master swimmer. This is our oldest athletes that we've been working with, longest tenured as well, well over a decade. They have been with us. And Ernie there in the foreground, he did 72 pull-ups on his 72nd birthday. And him and Bernie have sights on masters world records in the 90 age group category. So we're going to be working with them for a number of years, another decade plus to come, and excited about that. But I want to say, because most of you are coaches, so this is not going to apply to me, but I still want to let you guys know, who is this not necessarily for when it comes to signing up to become SSDC. So if you think you already know it all for Dryland, which I doubt that's any of you took the time to come listen to me on this webinar, don't bother enrolling if you think you already know everything about Dryland. It's probably just going to be a frustrating experience for you. If you're still just kicking the tires and not really sure about, I don't know if this sounds like a lot to take on, then I would actually suggest just enrolling in the Surge Strength Academy. And we have 101 courses, Dryland 101 courses for swim coaches, swimmers, and swim parents specifically. So that's probably where you want to start if you're still thinking the introductory, and those are free as well. And you also get a preview of the SSDC and the other offerings in that as well. So just go to surgestrength.com, go to the academy. You can create a free account if you already haven't, and try out the 101. So that's if you're still kind of kicking the tires on this Dryland thing. If you're seeking magic results, tell me where to find them, because we've been doing this a long time. We have yet to find that magic secret sauce. It's just hard work, consistent work, but work done the right way when it comes to Dryland. Not just getting the athletes tired, but getting them stronger, more powerful, moving better, and that transfers into the water. So there's one, Joanna, whole staff became SSDC. Dryland for any level. This is the kind of stuff that you can experience. Take your team to the next level, like Ryan did here, becoming SSDC. Now they're seeing results with their team in and out of the water. So if these emojis and adjectives aren't how you're feeling about Dryland, you definitely need to enroll to become SSDC, get that certification, and more importantly, the knowledge that you can help your swimmers with. So mentioned before, we only do open enrollment a few times a year. We're going to open enrollment next Monday, the 17th of October. It's going to go through Thursday, October 20th at midnight Pacific time. Once Friday morning rolls around, open enrollment is closed. It will remain closed until 2023. We're not sure on those dates yet, but anyway, it's at least 6+ months away. So this is your last opportunity for now. And if you haven't already, go to surgestrength.com/certification. That's the page where you can find more information on becoming SSDC as well. But if you're on the email list, if you attended this webinar, we'll make sure that you get the announcement of when it's actually open, and more importantly, where to go to pay to actually enroll to become SSDC. But that's all I have in terms of presenting, guys. I want to make sure I left a big chunk of time for questions on anything. So at this point, turn it over to you guys. I already see a couple questions in the chat, so feel free, drop questions in the chat, and I'll start working through them there. But the most important thing is make sure you're marking your calendars. If you're at all interested, this will be the last opportunity this year for you guys, and it'll start next Monday. So let me exit out of here and go look into the chat, see what questions we got. Oh, hey, Terry. How's it going? So Terry's one of the, we're working with one of her swimmers as well right now, if I'm remembering the right one here. Curious, Terry's question is, curious if you have any knowledge of health boards allowing practitioners to use this for continuing education credentials. So yeah, Terry, we have a couple organizations that we have CEUs already approved through, and they're on the website, surgestrength.com/certification. So we've listed those organizations that we already have CEUs with. Some of them are much harder to get through than others, so we don't have any by all means, but there are some, and those are all listed on the website as well. I would say, so Glacho, I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that right, kind of confused about price. I saw a lot of different numbers. So yes, so I'm more telling you when I was sliding through the value of all the things I'm adding on extra. The price for becoming SSDC is just $5.99. And that's what it'll be on Monday through the whole open enrollment is $5.99 for all of that included. So the prices on the slides earlier, I was just trying to show you more of the extra that you get in addition to the lessons and the actual curriculum for that. So it's just $5.99 for the price for enrolling to become SSDC. And like I said, that first opportunity will start next Monday, October 17th. Great question so far, guys. Let me know if you have anything else, drop it in the chat. And if you guys don't, no worries. We can end it early as well. Oh, thanks, Terry. She said, for anyone on the fence, this is a great price for quality education. I appreciate that. All right. Any other questions, guys? Give it a few more minutes here. And Callie, if you're, I see she's still around. I know she's in and out of patients right now. So I'll just ping her one more time, see if she's able to come on. All right, guys. Any more questions here? Not seeing anything coming through. And I think Callie's with patients. She said it was going to be 50-50 at best. So I'm not worried about that. I'm not worried about her. And Callie, no worries. Don't feel bad at all if you weren't able to make. I know lots of schedules. It's hard to, with the logistics of everything, not a problem at all. Guys, I'm not seeing any more questions come through. So I'm going to go ahead and sign off then. Again, if you're attended this webinar, you will be in our email list that we will send on Monday when it is open. We'll also send a replay of this as well that you can review as well. But again, just be ready on Monday. If you're thinking about doing it, don't wait till Tuesday or Wednesday. Jump on it Monday, enroll to become SSDC, and you can easily knock this out in a day or two in terms of if you have the time that you're able to block out. And if you're more like Kareen, you could take 6 months to a year. It's not a problem at all. Stretch it out a little bit more. The lessons are made so that you can do either way, and it's still going to be effective. Went through all the other tools, templates that you're going to get. It's really a great experience. And at this point now, we have hundreds of coaches around the world that are becoming SSDC or already have, and they're seeing results in their Dryland. And you guys can experience the same results we see on a regular basis here at Surge Strength. So not seeing any more questions, guys. I'm going to go ahead and sign off. Hope you guys take advantage of the open enrollment next week, and we'll talk to you next time.